Gonna connect. Perfect. All right. The first thing, now I can see you guys, I would love for you to do is I would like for you to stand up and put your hands together in a prayer position and your elbows close to your side. Okay, I'm going to teach you, for you exercise science people, if I'm in a prayer position, elbows touch my rib cage, I'm teaching you about something called an isometric. Okay. A lot of our programming is about not changing the angles of your body and applying maximum force. So even while you're standing there, I'd like you to push about 50% effort into your hands and squeeze your elbows down to your side. You should feel your pecs and your lats light up. Right? So that's something that you guys will feel. So I'm giving you a little bit of a demonstration on that. The other thing I wanted to show you guys is if you hold your hand like in a bicep curl, like this, right? Arm up, bicep curl. This is again an isometric, but when I push my hand down, you're going to feel your bicep lengthening under tension. Those two pieces of our training, that's eccentric. So that means that your muscles are strengthening and lengthening. And what you're going to find in our program, we focus on training the brakes more than we do the gas. So if we know that we can improve your braking system, how you stop and how you transfer energy, you're going to be in a good spot. Please sit down because I'm going to show you guys a little bit of an animation first. I want to show you this first before I get into a whole bunch of stuff. I got to pull up a 3D animation. Okay. Um, this will be of a picture. And I'm going to draw on it. Let's see. It's desktop one, but gotta catch it here. Let's see here. You can see a lot of tabs open. Hang on a moment. Okay. Hard for me to see you right now. I gotta put you on a second screen. All right. Um, One moment, guys. I got you on the second screen over there so I can see you. Do you guys see an animation of a skeleton? Yeah. Okay. It's amazing. I see the TV, so I can see what I'm talking about. One of the things you guys are going to find, all right, so I have two PhDs. One's in exercise physiology, and another is in biomechanics. I literally went to school longer than you guys have been alive, okay, to get these degrees. I worked 10 years in Major League Baseball, and the things that I've learned have come from screwing up a lot of players. So what I don't do is take something that I might have done with the player, at a major league level that worked for him, and then try to cookie cutter it and put it for, all sorts of different positions. So you're going to see you're going to have a process. There's going to be some catching oriented stuff that you're going to be getting if you're a catcher. Catchers, can you put your hands up? Yeah, you guys got to take care of your arms as much as pitchers, all right? There's going to be stuff that's for a position player, there's stuff for pitchers in two ways. But the one thing that you're going to say when you go to train, you're going to be like, why the hell am I not squatting like the house? Why is there not barbells on my back? And why are there no, why is the training focused on tempo and not really squeezing me down? We train a lot on independent limbs, but what happens when I load you consistently, okay, with heavy squatting, deadlifting, we develop a lot of pressure in this region. That's called intra-abdominal pressure. All right? What can happen is over time, all the muscles, they stiffen the spinal column too much. And when I'm able to look at things on 3D, I'll just take this away because I do want you guys to know some of these foundations of training. It's important. When I go and look at the athlete on 3D, I'm going to cycle out and I'll get over top of them. What happens when you have a stiffer rib cage and abdominal wall? You have less separation. So here, this is even in throwing and hitting. You got a bat's got to be connected with your trunk. If you're pitching, you basically are going to be in this orientation too, or throwing. We need to be able to be in a place where you guys can maximize your stretch. So if there's a line through my shoulders and there's another line through my pelvis, this angle is my separation angle. Have you guys ever heard of that? I'm sure you've heard of hip shoulder separation. If it's new, put your hand up. Okay, so you've heard of it. So this is a big piece of our training. We got to improve the way that you coordinate rotation. Okay, so you're going to see lot of different stuff. in the training. The other thing is I'm going to go to the ground, and this is from a 3D motion capture component too. We are going to have better direction of force approaches to how you train. You can see this arrow here. That's the ground reaction force. That's how hard this athlete's pushing off the ground. But what's important for us is also the direction, this angle from the ground. And a lot of you guys, I notice, have been in training, college guys anyway, that's very vertically dominant. Okay. And what happens is it doesn't help you with speed development. It doesn't really help you with bracing. All it is pure gas, right? And we need the brakes because you're going to see what happens. I'll clear this out, what the other foot does. And I'm just taking an example of a player who, when they hit, I'm going to show you this side. When they hit on this side, there's a lot of knee flexion. Okay. And what I want to avoid is absorbing. So you're going to see some things in your exercise program that you might not fully understand, but I want you to know it's coming from a mechanical element. All right. I'm going to stop share and I'm going to just show you some of the exercise components that I want you guys to be able to kind of wrap your head around. Let me go to one where we're going to speak about action of force. Okay. One moment here. I'm going to share that over here. Desktop one. See if I'm catching it. Okay. It should come up where um, I'm doing an exercise with a trap bar on the floor. All right. I use it a lot, something like this with catchers and also pitchers that have more of an extension mechanism of need. But a lot of what you can see here is the way that I'm training. You're going to see the direction. All right. Most of you, if you're in a squat position, you have your shins behind you. They're like this way, right? But we have to improve the way you push back. So when I play the video, you're going to notice sort of just the angle of how I'm developing force. So a lot of these pieces are going to be, in your training. Okay. So this is training the brakes. I'm pushing backward. All right. You're going to get a lot of that. So I'm going to clear the drawings here. I'm going to show you another training exercise. Let's go here. Let me see. Is that up on your screen where I'm standing and pressing?
Yep.
All right. You're going to be like, why am I not getting under a barbell that often and doing bench pressing? Remember, I told you about your spine. I guarantee, now I got a 50-pound dumbbell in my hand. All right. You guys are going to stay at the beginning when we have exercises like this to 10% of your body weight. So, you guys that are 200 pounds, okay, most of you guys are going to be less than 20 pounds in your hand to start. And I know this sounds crazy, but I began my career as a power lifter, thinking that the best training for baseball, I grew up in the steroid era. All the big guys like Canseco and McGuire and Sammy Sosa, all these monsters. And I realized that our athletes in our day and age are naturally larger to begin with. And what happens is we have to improve what I call SCT. These programs are focused on strength and coordination training, not strength and conditioning. Okay. So something like this, if I pull back a lot of these drawings, all right, I got my foot banked. I have my knee that's behind my heel. So what does that mean? That means I'm still applying a posterior force. My glutes are turned on big time. But now I'm in a position where I'm training my pecs. Okay, I'm training my pecs, but my focus is a lot on my deltoid because the weight is giving me gravity that I have to fight against. You understand all those physics?
Sure.
Okay. So the best part of the training is that I'm creating intra-abdominal pressure. You can see my tummy is sticking out, and that's because it's not because I'm fat. It's because my diaphragm is so well developed that when I breathe, it opens and gets bigger and it contracts. Now, if you think about me delivering a baseball or hitting, I'm able to put a lot more endpoint impact strength. So that means the ball is going to compress more at the bat, and that means you're going to get more friction on the baseball because I can coordinate it this way. And I guarantee you guys are going to be like, whoa. I mean, you could probably bench press 315, But when you put a dumbbell in your hand and you press, it's really, really tough. Okay. And I want you guys to wrap your head around exercises like this that come up. So if I play it again, you can also see something else. I'm creating rotation. All right. So I'm giving you a little bit of coaching here because I want you to figure this out. Thumbs down position in the counter movement spot. It allows me to keep my shoulders more closed. Pitchers that have a lot of elbow shoulder injuries. How many of you guys have had an elbow or shoulder surgery? Put your arms up. Nobody? Or is there
Two.
some? Okay, two. Good. You guys are doing well. A lot of the time, one of the factors is an early opening of the trunk. So we're teaching our bodies how to load and stay closed from this hip to this shoulder on a diagonal line when I'm doing stuff like this. Okay. Sometimes you're going to see me load the same hand as the leg forward. So there's going to be a whole bunch of different things that your body's going to learn that are applied to what you use on the field. If we don't have transfer of training, it's not good training. Okay. You don't play baseball a lot on your back. So we have to make sure we're integrating the core to be really strong with our upper body. And you're also going to notice your bones are going to be a lot more, you're going to have less aches, less pains. And the biggest thing, I advise a lot of players that go to the MLB combine. And you guys don't know this, and maybe it might be a little bit of a far reach for you right now. But what I can tell you is that the MRI piece at the pro level is very high. So young players like yourselves, you can only get 25 or you can only get 75% of what you ask for if you decline your MRI. And in the MRI, because we start loading the spine at a very young age and it gets overloaded, the part that docks players the most, it's not their elbows or their shoulders. It tends to be their spinal column, disc protrusions, fractures, and things that you don't even feel. So the first thing for me is let's develop the durability and capacity first, improve your anatomy, and then let it go to work. Okay, I'm gonna go to another one. Now this is another type of SCT where strength and coordination training approach where I'm using the ground. You're going to see there's like some points of arm care where I'm connecting the shoulder all the way down with a lower limb. Okay? And this one's on the same side. You can see that they're both the same side and I have this big open side here. This is going to help me stabilize. You guys that don't have really good trunk stabilization, it affects velocity because you have too much side to side motion of your trunk and you need to come on target. Okay. You need to be delivering to home plate. So let me just clear these drawings so you can see this um, exercise some more. So I just want you to see it. We do a lot in a half kneeling position because it's basically low gravity, right? And you have to start a lot, like you're going from a stop really, and I'm pushing back. Okay. Now, the one thing I want to tell you guys too, as a coaching point, because I'm not there, and I want you guys to do a really good job at your training. This hand right here is very important. We do most, I would say 70% of our training is single arm or single leg so that we really improve the core function and your stabilization of your joints. Okay. If you can't, like, we have players that throw 100 that have never been able to throw 100 innings, right? And to me, it's like we want them to throw 100 innings, play 100 games. And so a lot of this is going to be based on you being really durable. When we go to do these exercises, I don't want your arm to just be hanging, okay? If your arm's just hanging, you're counterbalancing. That's not the point in the movement because we need the core to be functioning 360 around, all right? So this is a big piece for the training. So I tuck my hand in. If you're a pitcher and you might train on a Saturday after a game and you don't have to be on a mound for a while, I would put your hand in the tightest fist you possibly can. When you're going to notice in the training, we split the arms apart. When I show you some examples, I want you to make sure that when you're training your glove arm before a day you might be on the mound, your hand's open so that you don't wear out your forearm. But if we can develop forearm strength, we're going to really protect the elbow, because if you guys just make your forearm flex like this and touch the bone that's on the inside, the more that we can train the fibers and tendons to be strong that go over the ligament, which is down here, just goes right over the bump, less problems we have, and that comes from forearm endurance and forearm strength. So I definitely want you guys to lock in on that. Now, the next thing, and I notice this a lot with players using bands, in the split stance position, the foot orientation matters. So what I'm doing with this foot is I'm pushing forward into the ground, because that's actually pushing me back as a ground reaction force. With this foot, I'm pushing back, which is actually giving me a ground reaction force to push me forward. The whole goal that I want you guys to be able to do in split stance is to think about splitting the ground apart between your legs. When you do that, you lock in your pelvis and you're sending all this energy up to your arm. When we do this, you can have arms, like I got some players that have over 320 pounds of arm force. That is a massive amount of arm strength. And you guys, when I first see them, when you first test, I am definitely going to see a lot of you guys that are going to be way under. So we want to be able to boost this quickly. Okay. So I know there's a lot of diagrams on there, but this is a way to maximize training in a split stance position. I'm going to go to some speed, and then I'm going to ask you guys to, if you have questions, we'll talk about it. But with speed drills, all right, the biggest thing that I want to see when you guys run, it's hard for me to catch it on slow motion. I wish I is elbow positions and arms. Okay. If you filmed yourself from behind, what I want you guys to practice in the first few steps, I want you to think about this, because even our warm-up process, when you look at the 6-minute speed activation and other things that you can incorporate, we talk about having 2 big arm strokes and 3 hard steps. And that means that the elbow gets to shoulder height. Some of you guys that have tight shoulders and restricted pecs, that's why I'm saying we're going to try to lower the activation of your pecs. You're really losing ground between your steps for your feet. Because your arms are so tight, you can't lead your feet. And it's different. Like, how many of you guys are infielders? Put your arms up if I can see them. Okay, so in infield, like your foot pattern, I mean, all positions really, but arm speed is really predicated on how fast your feet move. So it's a foot to arm interaction. With sprinting, your arms, it's in the opposite direction. If you have really bad arm path, you're not going to improve speed. And we have a lot of speed drills, and as we go, we will modify and make changes to your training, for different points of the season. Obviously, right now you have sort of a semi-fall season. In the off season, there'll be more sprint focus because you're on the field right now. And then there'll be more of a maintaining speed approach while you get into your actual season. But when you're getting in there, think about when you get to the speed drills, I have to have two pretty good arm strokes when I come out of there to try to gain some ground. Okay. I'm going to go to a couple more, and then I'll give you guys a little time for questions. Okay, catchers. With catchers, there's going to be some drills I have on the ground. Now, you're not going to use a band this strong. You'll probably use a 10, a yellow, or something else that will allow you to get in this position. But we definitely need to have strength applied with fixed hips and actually sending intra-abdominal pressure up into the rib cage. You guys have to be able to come out of a low position with strength, and we're knocking the legs out some more, so you focus on your arms. Catchers have the worst rate of return from arm injuries, the worst. And I've studied it, and I can show you the publications. And I've worked with a lot of good catchers, Matt Wieters. There's so many, Luke Roy. There's been so many. At least their arms, not Wieters, but the other guys who really did a lot of arm care work, they stayed pretty healthy. A catcher having an arm problem, it's going to linger for a long time. You have to make more throws than anybody on the field. So you got to definitely take care of it. So you'll see in the training, there's a catcher's prep part to take care of. Okay. The last thing I'm going to show before questions, these are called walkouts. Again, in arm care, I'm the executive vice president. I teach a lot of the electronic courses, and I talk about strength mattering most. These are the only arm care based training that I think you could get hurt if you don't do them right. Okay. These are called walkouts. Okay. I start with the band really loose. And then what I do with this is I put my arm into the position. Okay. And I got 25 pounds here. So when I stretch this out, it's like 60 because I'm trying to go to the point where it's just before it's like a pure rope. I take my hand off, I help myself, and I put it in my hand fist over heart for this one. All right. I'm trying to get a lot of strength and I'm trying to juice up as much as I can from all my muscles, setting into my spinal cord and being able to drive what's coming from my brain into this arm. Okay. This is called muscle irradiation. When I squeeze in one area, I can really activate another. And the biggest key is when you get to this position, we talked about that isometric at the beginning, hands together. We also talked about that extension based strength, right, of the bicep. Here's where you got to be really careful, okay, is the negative. So when I bring it back, I'm not just letting it fly back because this is super strong. If I let it go, it's whipping me. And you're gonna see I get to a point where I walk back. Okay. So that's key. We don't want to get from this point and try to fight it and get it back into position. If you're able to put it back into position from that, you need a heavier band because it's got to be a point where it's like, I can't move it. I got to walk back in. Okay. We got to develop arm strength real quickly. Any questions? I went through a lot, but again, I told you I'm filming this. Throw them out there, guys. Please.
They're gonna walk up here
Yeah.
so that you can kind of see them.
Yep. I'll stop share it so I can see your faces. There you go.
Hi, my name is Michael.
Hey,
So one
Michael.
of the things I just wanted to clarify is like a lot of this is like core strengthening.
We're connecting the dots. All right. So, for example, I got a player in. I've been working with him this morning. I work with him this evening. We've been working on his hitting, and he's had a lot of shoulder problems swinging. And what we had done is we had been able to take his whole swing and we took his hands out. So this dude was hitting 101 off a front toss. When we took his hands away and we improved how his core functioned, either in loading, and he just basically, his whole thing was the bat stayed on his shoulder and he was just saying, okay, load early. Basically, he was saying, load early, stay late. Just the core alone, he was consistently hitting the ball between 105 and 108 off a front flip with better back control. Your core is so important. And I know you need core strength when you squat. And I know you need core strength when you bench, right? But it's different when you have to have something that's outstretched or
Yep.
you're in a split stance and you're unsteady. That allows your core to be reactive. When you're doing something that's always two legs at a time or two arms at a time, your brain's wired to just contract everything at once. It can't handle rotation. So it's a great question, but you're going to notice there's a lot of core function involved in this. And the other thing too is because a lot of my clients they lose a ton of money with bad backs. I don't want you guys to have a lingering back problem. They stick around for your life if you don't take care of them. So there's always going to be some element where you're going to be like, I mean, I can hold a barbell and I practice this. I called it zombie walks. Now, let me see here. Let me pull it up because you can see what I mean. You know of where you guys can go, man. Um, with training your core really well. I'll pull something up so you can see. Okay, here. This one, I don't want you to try this right now. We'll build a little bit. I'm gonna share the screen, but it will bury you, I promise. You'll never feel a stress like this where everything has to move and contract. Let me see if this is coming up on your screen. Do you see me here?
Yep.
Okay. I am marching single leg. So that means I only have one leg to stabilize my entire chain with a 45-pound dumbbell outstretched in front of me as far as possible. Okay? That's an ex like I start with guys and you guys too, you know, we may have to adjust. If this comes up, I'm gonna make sure it starts with a dumbbell, but I always like to include things like zombie walking. All right. So this is a whole different type of training because my shoulders, my whole core section has to work, but I'm unloading the pressure when I take a leg off the ground. That means it has to concentrate on a limb. Now, you play baseball, you're not playing baseball with 2 feet on the ground. A pitcher, your toes on the ground for a split second. Okay, a hitter, if you're dragging your toe when you hit, some guys do that, but usually the toe lifts. You got to slam into one leg. So you definitely need to have that core function. All right. If you guys want to play around after this and go to the gym, just grab two 10-pound dumbbells, right? Hold them in front of you and just see, can I walk 15 yards backwards and forwards? How does that feel? Your arms are going to burn, your core is going to burn. You won't get hurt, but you'll understand what I mean about integrating, all of this together. So, any other questions?
Yeah, I think there are some. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, man. Maybe I'll just keep this on here if you got questions.
Yeah. Here they come.
Yeah, don't be shy. I want to make sure you guys have a good start at like understanding most of the technical elements, and you're each going to get a video on your own training plan, like your positional one. Yep.
Hey, Ryan, I'm Gideon. I had a quick question. So right now with our lifting program, we kind of focus 5 days a week and we focus different muscle groups. And I know for me particularly, I like to go pretty heavy. Does
Yep.
this program focus a lot on like building that stability so that you can go heavy, or is it more of a replacement for
So,
going heavy?
so for example, so what I would say for you guys to start, anything that we do, you can load, okay? But to start, I like you guys to start with something called 5 reps in reserve. I'm gonna write it on the screen here. So I call it 5 RR. Do you guys know what that means? Okay. So 5 reps in reserve means if I wrote something that was 3 sets of 5, okay, I want to take a weight that I could comfortably get 10 reps with. I know that I could squeeze out 5 more. So at the beginning, I don't care how heavy you lift. The technique should be good, but I do want you to stay in a position where you can handle 5 reps in reserve. If you get to a weight and you pull a weight and you're like, I can't even get one more after these 5, it's too heavy to start. Okay. That once you groove the pattern, for example, if I had you, let me pull this off because you're gonna see it's very different because I'm changing the positions that your brain's normally used to working in. So that's the first thing. A lot of you guys, you start, let's say it's a lunge, okay? Like I'll give you another half kneeling lunge. Let me see. I have a few variations. Okay, here's one. So guys are used to working high to low. Okay. And a high to low pitching delivery is fine because some of you guys, you like to be more of a pole vaulter in the way you throw. So you might like try to load your lead side, and that's okay. It gets to a problem when you're absorbing too much and you're getting too low. But a lot of our training, because we're focusing on pure pushback, right? We're going low to high. You can see my knee position is behind my heel. I'm pushing forward to give me a lot of ground reaction force pushing back, also pushing back, and you're going to see I'm going to rise, but the overall motion is back. Okay. I have 50-pound dumbbells. No, those are a little bit heavier. Those are 60 or 70 pounds in my hand. Okay. Um, I'll play it. And I'm trying to push back from the floor, keeping my foot into the ground. I guarantee you're going to have a hard time with this. Okay. Even if you squat 450, you're not used to being from a dead stop using contractile strength to push, right? When you watch a pitcher, let me go back to this. Um, let's take this again. Do you guys see the animation?
Yep.
This is important for pitching and hitting. With squatting and heavy loading, you don't want to hang out and hold it for too long. Okay. So sometimes you lose what's called co-contraction. But if I looked on 3D, really good players, they're able to hold a position like this where the hip, the knee, okay, and the ankle can be into a place where you're storing energy and things aren't moving around a lot. Things are stopped. All right. And then I'm going to spin this, it's going to look a little weird, but you're going to see how the athlete moves with the joints really in place. Okay. This is mostly, especially if you're on the drive side, a lot of athletes, most of the upper level ones, college, pro, they can handle holding positions because you store a lot of energy in this lead hip. It really gives a lot of the energy to the entire delivery. But we need to teach our athletes, we got to teach you guys how to be able to load in slow positions. That's why I got you on the ground, that you got to be able to develop force when there's not a lot of stretching. Like it's not like a vertical jump. You're holding something and then you're unloading the plate. Bam, right? So, getting back to what you're saying, I want the technique to be good. All right. I want the technique to be good first. I want that to happen. I want you guys to then load smartly. If you're overloading and you can't get the exercise done, we have something 3 sets of 5. You can't get 3 reps. You got to change the loading because the technical aspect is key. There's more to it than lifting heavy weight. Remember, I said it's strength and coordination. And when you're able to get your body to move right and apply force, those are things that are going to transfer. I will let you know. How many of you guys think that at a college level, maximum squat and maximum bench press, they correlate, meaning that if you raise your maximum strength, actually raise velocity? Like, do any of you think that? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for being honest. We're going to be publishing a paper. So I'm a faculty member at Louisiana Tech University, and we've studied the Division I baseball team over a course of 8 years. There's almost no correlation. So you could squat 800 pounds, you could bench press 900 pounds, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to raise your throwing velocity because a lot of it is wrapped up in your arm speed, and also your ability to be balanced. So your arm knows like, hey, if I'm really strong at the front and I'm really weak at the back, your brakes are weak. Your arm's not going to move fast. Your brain knows I don't want to tear my arm each throw. Okay. And even with Major League Baseball, we looked at maximum strength. I could show you video of guys doing 450 front squats. That's what I believed in. I believe that if we made their maximum strength super high and we used, 3 classical lifts and we used a percentage of them to better understand what we should be training them load wise, that we would see velocity increases. And really, there wasn't a huge connection. We had Latin players who were 16 years old weighing 145 pounds, throwing 94. We had guys that were 250 that could do a 500-pound squat and have it come off their back and couldn't break a plane of glass. So the whole key is, can we create a process where you're going to be absolutely durable, you're going to coordinate well, you'll develop strength in ways that you're going to apply it in force. And I showed you the biomechanics pieces that you're applying it with a direction for execution, and that's what's going to lead to success. And as you get the technique, man, you could load it. I'm fine with it. You can go as heavy as you want as long as you're getting through the rep ranges, right? You want 100-pound dumbbells in each hand and you're doing a half kneeling squat or half kneeling lunge from the floor, sets of 5, and it's looking good, man, I'm happy with that. So don't worry about, is this just like a preventative, non force based program? I guarantee if I'm able to get 300 pounds of arm strength out of multiple players, you guys are going to see your arm strength go up. And I know the transition of all the good body mechanics when we release a ball, or think of your arm, your lead arm in hitting, the lead arm velocity, and then being able to stop that at impact and be stiff. That's what really triggers a heck of a lot of ball flight, and it eventually, like, what the ball does is key. How fast it moves, the spin you can put on it, what happens off the bat, the angle of it. So we want to be able to have really good strength and programming that is going to actually amplify the end range stuff, right? But getting back to your question, use good technique. Okay. Stay within the rep range, use a 5 reps in reserve to start. As you get a little bit better, a little heavier, you're like, I could probably handle it 3 reps in reserve. If you can't get the reps, it's way too heavy. Okay. Did I answer that okay? I know I gave you a ton there.
Oh, that's good. So kind of like, if I'll be a little bit of devil's advocate, if I'm an outfielder, what's the benefit of me doing this?
Okay. Perfect. So as an outfielder, the biggest piece, you need to have two things. Defensively, you have to have really good jump time. All right. You just saw one of the sprinting drills coming off the floor into your feet and then doing a reverse 180 and sprinting. If that doesn't help you get back on a ball, right, then you're wearing a piano while you're out on the field. So as an outfielder, that's really huge. Defensive runs saved in Major League Baseball is all about getting the ball fast and getting it out fast. When you have those quick reflexes and you're able to transfer the ball quickly and get it out of your hand quickly, you're going to save runs. The team's going to win more games because of it, right? The other thing too is arm strength. Having more carry on the ball, your infielders get to play back, right? And now the play is closer to your infielder. They're able to make a much easier, more accurate throw, less airtime for them. When it comes to being able to hit, right? For an outfielder, any position player, being able to utilize your body system for power is critical. And a lot of it's locked between your shoulders and your kneecaps. Your arms, having really strong arms is important. Having strong pecs is important, right? All the upper body muscles. But if I'm not able to coordinate having the stretch and then the recoil and being able to stop, then what happens is my barrel control is off and my impact strength can be altered, right? You could hit the game you could hit 214 and have 30 homers and get paid. At your level, it's not what you want to do, right? So we definitely want to be able to focus on the strength and the coordination that's going to help you on the field, right? Stealing bases. How many of you guys steal half the amount of games and bases? If you play 60 and you're an outfielder, you play 60 games, let's just say, are you stealing 30 bases? How many?
We have
Okay.
two.
Okay. If we're raising the speed, the takeoff, the acceleration, right? And your reflexes are good, you're able to stop, start, um, you're worth more getting to second base. So these are going to be some of the things I'm going to be watching, from year to year, especially you guys have had a few years in the system. I do want to see like how are we gauging your on-field performance? Listen, I would love like I want to rally around your arm strength. If you guys are like, some of you guys, if you're touching 300 pounds, of arm strength this season, I'll have to get you something. I don't know what that is. I'm not a rich man. But I'll have to send you something. But like the big thing for me is that you guys, right? You rally around being better on the field. Your stats matter, not like your bench, your squat, your deadlift. Even your vertical jump is important, but you're actually going to be evaluated what you do on the field. And that's the transfer of training that I want you to buy into. Um, if I can, I want to go over a couple programs. All right, I'm going to use one that is like really robust. But again, you guys are going to get. Don't worry about it if you're like, oh, they're showing a two-way players plan, and I'm a catcher. There's common elements, but there are differences. I want to show you those things. Okay, is that okay?
Yeah.
Because I want you to get the handle of it. All right. So this is the dashboard that I program you guys on. I'm just going to move this so I'm looking at the screen here. Okay. So I program you guys on these dashboards. All right. So this is a two-way plan for you guys that are there. There's a split routine, a total body, 2 speed agility quickness days, and a 1 day optional. You guys have up to 7 days of training, but there's different themes. Okay. Now, these days are labeled because certain days are going to be different for pitchers potentially on when you start, in your fall season or those kinds of things. But the general basis of this that's really important, okay, are a couple things. I want you to check your body water. So there's body weight entries at the beginning of the day and also at the end. Okay. I want you guys to be in the habit of drinking out of stainless steel. All right. The reason being is that plastics, they will lower your testosterone. I do not want that happening because you guys are going to need every bit of testosterone strength you can possibly muster. Okay? So try to avoid plastics, try to get something that you can measure your water intake and try to drink a half your body weight to 75% of it a day. So if I'm 200 pounds, I need to try to drink 100 ounces. And in those 100 ounces, if I have a 32-ounce jug, I have to have at least three and a little bit of it a day.
I'll be asking you later.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we just got a
Okay.
snoozer. We just got a snoozer. I just,
Oh.
just being a coach.
Okay, yeah, got a snoozer. I know it's a lot to go through. That's why I got it in a video. So that's a big piece. There's a pre-workout checklist. So in your program, in the app, it's going to ask you how your sleep quality was, your throwing arm, and your body. From my training, you're going to see this is also in the Arm Care app. I took it from what I'm doing to build in the Arm Care app, but I definitely want you guys to fill this out because we're analyzing this each month. We're trying to see how you guys are responding. We want to give, coach good information to know when you might hit fatigue points, and we're gonna adjust programming based on that. How many of you guys have a morning affirmation? Do you wake up, say something to yourself for the day?
They have a daily journal entry that they're required to do morning and afternoon.
Perfect. Okay. So this morning affirmation, a lot of this is going to be like, oh my God, I see this every day. It's to just build the habit. Okay. I have it for all our players because a lot of them, they go through some really bad times and they don't know how to talk to themselves. And it's amazing what you do when you go in the mirror. I got one guy who I think will be the first overall pick next year and he hasn't thrown for 2 years. Okay. And he's electric, 15 years old, throwing 98 miles an hour. All right. And it's insane. But he goes in the mirror every day and it's everywhere on his computer screen, it's on his phone, and all it says is, I am that guy. That's all this kid says to himself every morning. It's around him constantly. So if you can find an expression, it could be biblical, however you respond to it, is like, you know what? I had bad sleep. I had bad sleep. Girlfriend broke up with me. Got a test. I didn't do well. Like all this negativity goes in the body. You have to clear it and say, okay, I got to get myself back to a positive level. It's a morning affirmation. Sometimes they stick when you have action. So like hitting your hand, something like that gets you going, for the day with a saying. All right. Bring it on, and then I'm out the door. I go to a big meeting. I have something like that. It's got words that I don't want to
Yeah, it's
say
okay.
in public. Yeah. So beetroot juice. How many of you guys have had beetroot juice? All right.
8, 6, 7, 8.
Yes. Okay. Really, it's amazing for circulation. Okay. These are like performance multipliers. I want you to try first choking down 8 ounces a day. Okay. I want you to go to the grocery store, see if you can find some, try it. If it's really tough for you to take, our firm has supplements with MLB approved products and college approved products. I can get you a powder. You're probably going to want a powder for when you travel in the season, but I'd love for you to try the real stuff. Okay, not stuff that tastes like cherries with like, broken down beets in it to start, okay?
Yeah.
Soft tissue care. There's a few things that I'm going to show you guys in a video of that can accelerate it. I have a friend and I've been looking for organic magnesium salve to improve blood flow to the arm, circulation, and the knees. You're a catcher. So there's some salves that I can show you. It's, the stuff. How many of you guys use Icy Hot? Or yeah, like those topicals have so many chemicals. So I'm always looking for something that's healthy long term. Okay. You guys will all get a video on how to take an arm care test. So on days where we have a scheduled mound day, I'd like for you guys to take an arm care test. And I'm gonna, and for position players, I'd like once a week, if you can, do both arms. There'll be a setting in the arm care data in the arm care app that will say a full exam. Try to do one of those a week just to make sure that your arm strength is pretty balanced between your arms. Um, and that will clear up any risk. But for pitchers, definitely we want to get your arm strength tested, if we can, twice a week. So 2 fresh exams, and then you want to test after your heavy throwing days. And I think position players, you should know how much fatigue your arm goes through as well. A stronger arm as a player, it just complements what you can do at the bat. Let's say you're in the infield and you threw 90 across the diamond, now it's 95. There's a big difference on where
Oh,
you
yeah.
can play and what you can do,
Yeah.
you know? So the arm care testing is a piece of it. There's going to be some prep drills before throwing. I left some open because I know a lot of you guys have some of your own stuff, but this is what I want you to do. Make sure that you document your own warm-up routine. If there's something that you do, or pitching coach has something for you guys, I want you guys to document it, because what we can do with the arm care testing is we can see afterwards, is it fatiguing your arm? So if your arm's seeing a lot of fatigue, it's something that we can take a look at and say, okay, let's try to scale the warm-up routine. Let's make that locked in. Okay. So that's in the throwing prep section. All right. Now it's a two-way program. So, and I have things in the app that will call out, like you'll tap on this, it'll say take exam on mound or high intensity throwing days to monitor fatigue. You'll be able to pull these up to see them. But there's a batting practice prep option where you guys are going to have some different ones. Like this is a banded one. Some of these I want you to be careful with. I said use a strong bat, and make sure that with the bands, they're not that expensive to make sure there's no cuts in them. Let me see if I can pull one out. Let's see. Go to shorts here, banded bat. I'll show you what I mean, just so that you can get a feel for it. Um, Yeah, even something like this. We're developing some wrist strength. I have some that involve swings. So I'm wrapping a small bat around mostly like kind of the low barrel part. And now I'm using this as resistance as an activator in hitting. You don't want to do this constantly, okay? Because I'm going to see like how do you respond to revving up your muscle groups. I had that player I was telling you that went from he was 105 to 108 consistently and touching 101 on. We did some of this activation work. Okay. So you can try it. I got it in. I'll have it in on a Sunday, for you guys to experience something where, okay, I'm revving up my engine a little more. And we'll see how we do with those. There's a lot of trigger point. A third of the program is trigger point, and range of motion. Okay. Might not get to all of these. Try to make sure that you do the tennis ball ones if you can weekly, in the foam roll. Like you might not be perfect with everything. I want you to get through as much as you can at the start, and we'll figure out how to scale this. Okay. And at the end of the day, there's all these different checkouts. Now I use, Amazon's a good place to take a look. This is something that I preach, is arm biking. Do you guys have an arm bike at the school?
No.
Okay. So this is a very inexpensive arm bike. Okay. And I have it. Like this is something I think as a pitcher for sure, catcher. If there's one that's, kind of you guys have around, to just do 5 minutes of arm biking at the end, it's sending a lot more blood than anything else to your arm to heal. Okay, so I have this in for position players too. Okay, but I have it optional, but I recommend it on mound days. Then there's a workout checklist at the end. If you threw today, how hard was your session, or speed training, or hit, or lifted weights? This is where you're going to put in self-reported ratings, and that way we'll take a look at it. And I know, was it Gideon? Was that the name?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, he came up, asked about like, how heavy can we go? We're gonna kind of know like, this guy, we want to hit this really well, right? But there could be some of you that it's like too much. Or it could be way too little. So we have to understand those things. So I really want you to put these in as response scores. We're gonna make a point, at least internally, we check these, okay? And then there's the post-training routine, recovery shakes on our website. I'm just pulling some out here. There is some really great free stuff. All right. The website's under construction, but these are packets that I've been working on for a long time. A shake guide without any supplements, that's all natural, okay, for lean mass gains and recovery. I got more for you there. It's going to be more education coming to you. So, I don't want to feel like we got to jam everything in here. There is a food inventory to actually take a look at what you're eating twice a week and seeing where you might be deficient in your micronutrients. So, spending time, and they all have a video to know how they work. And then this critical mindset packet, okay, which you're going to go through. So there's a lot of things, like not just the affirmation. I'm pulling ones that I think are non-negotiable, but there's stuff in there like visualization, thought distortion, when you're having thinking errors. There's stuff in there too. But the shake guide, going back to the program, I have it in here. You have to be able to do this 20 minutes after training. Try to get 20 grams of protein. And some of you guys, like, I really, really recommend the chocolate that's inside the protein powders. Now, it's got a lot of metal, and even the vanilla. But I use this PB Fit peanut butter protein. And for those of you guys that need another option, um, we can talk about that. I'm gonna have one of my dietitians talk to you guys too. You're gonna get some education there. But where's the organic one? There is peanut butter powder. I'm going to put in organic. But this is great for protein. It's very easy to digest. Comes in a bag. Here you go. And the reason why I'm showing you this one, the bag is really important. Like, if I can blow this up a little bit, do you guys see this stickers here?
Yeah.
I want you guys to try when you go to the grocery store, if you're buying anything out of a bag or a box, I want you to look see if you can find them with the USDA organic logo and the non-GMO logo. And then anything that's a supplement, and this is the only stuff that we sell pretty much. They either have to be informed choice or NSF approved. The thing I love about this is it's got all the stickers that it's low inflammatory. It's got a heavy amount of protein. The back of it says nutrition facts. That's not supplement facts. That means it has to be FDA regulated. Okay. And you throw a couple tablespoons in there and you can mix it into some of the shakes that I have on the shake guide that you can download. And man, you're going to be off to the races. Okay. And even the shake guide, you don't necessarily need extra protein because there's a lot of protein from other sources. But, I definitely recommend you guys taking a look. One other thing that I want to do, I know we're getting close to time. Can you guys go 5 minutes over, or do you have to like head out right now?
If they need to leave, they'll just depart, but
Okay.
I think we'll be okay.
Okay. All right. So, the other thing I want you guys to download is the Yuka app. All right. You need to have better, way more informed choices about what you're eating. Your health, your strength can all be impacted by all this stuff. Okay. So the Yuka app, it's kind of addictive because you're going to start scanning a whole bunch of stuff. You're going to like go to your pantry, you're going to be like, Gatorade. You'll scan it, you're like, this has a score of 5 out of 100. And then you'll hit a button and it'll tell you all the cancer causing additives in it. Okay. So it's one thing to be a really great baseball player. I want you guys to be healthy and feel good. So I recommend downloading this. It gives you sometimes some options, but you can look through the quality of the food. The score, if you can make a point of trying to eat a 60 or above, you're going to be ahead of the game. Body's going to feel better. You're going to be able to detoxify better. So that's something to have. All right. So I spoke a little bit about this. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the soft tissue care. Maybe I'll quickly just show you what the one that we use. But if you're going to use a salve, which I do think something for blood flow that's healthy, check it with me first, okay? But we use these ones and we have a code. We use the roll-on. Which one we use? We use this one, the roll-on we used before. There's a lot of magnesium in it. And we see CBD, it's not marijuana. It's a product of it that helps with pain relief. Okay. So we have one that we use post-throw, which is the green. It's really high potency. We have one that's got more menthol in it, so you get that tingling, and that is beforehand, the instant groove. And then we use one overnight. My expression is circulation is king. I talked to you about the beetroot juice. I'm constantly looking for, a healthy advantage for your recovery. training is important. Recovery is even more important. Cherry juice as well. So this is something too. We have in our app cherry juice, and I get mine from Cherry Bundy. They're just easier to drink, and I get the low sugar one. But cherry juice, 2 hours before bed, really helps with melatonin. So help if you're having sleep problems, that's one thing. But it is huge for inflammation. When you guys get into the season, you're going to notice a different body soreness, especially with stress. So we have that, and then evening gratitude. Sometimes I go through prayer, if that's a practice of yours, but I do want you to think about before you go to bed, um, something that you're grateful for. You're going to have a days where you're going to go 0 for 4 with 3 punch outs. You're going to give up a grand slam to lose a game. You can't live in a moment where it's all negative and it carries into your next day because you have to be resetting. And I find that when you think about something you're actually grateful for, it might be just like, man, I love my coach. I love being a part of this team. Something that can reset your mind so that the next morning you wake up without tension. Body tension, tightness, negativity, it harbors in our body and it doesn't allow us to be elastic and increases our risk of injury. And I also say visualization practice. I like closing my eyes at night. If something didn't work out well, like let's say this presentation didn't, wasn't as good as I wanted, I will go back in my head, close my eyes, and see you guys all engaged, nobody sleeping, totally locked in, and I'm like, wow, okay, I'm back. This is what I need to do. You go at you can see yourself from third person. You can see yourself from being in your own eyes and like, man, I missed that breaking ball that should have hammered out of the park. Relive it. Hit it 450 feet. Have that mentality that you're going to change your outcomes. Um, and that's about it for now. You guys will each get a deeper rundown on all these days, but I basically went through most of the key anatomy of how you're going to be programmed. And then we're gonna get you started. Most of you, I think mostly all of you have made payments and you got your waivers in, but like, make sure you have all those things in. I need the waiver for sure. We can hound you for the payment, but I want
Yep.
you to have that piece in, and I want to make a start. Like I'm looking to get you guys going Sunday.
Okay.
Okay. So like to start with the recovery piece and be able to go from there.
Perfect.
And coach, we'll get together like, hey, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking
Yeah.
for progress and a
Yeah.
process. And
100%.
yeah, and if there's things that need to be scaled, guys, we're gonna do it. We're gonna find a way to make sure that it fits. Or you might come to us and say, well, we have a lot of class. It's taking us like 60 minutes to get through the workout. We only have 45. I'm gonna be able to go through and tell you what are the priorities each day that you need to hit until you find that time,
For
right?
sure. Awesome. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, guys, I really appreciate it. I'm excited for the season. One thing I loved, if like you're getting together as a team and you're ironing out all the team goals. Thank you, guys. You're ironing out all the team goals. Something that my staff, that I can stay on top of them and we can like live your goals, because we always say our goals are your goals. We want your goals to be our goals. So when you guys are getting together as a team and you can write that out and we can breathe some life into it, we'll be focused on them too along the way.
Love it.
All right. I'll
Cool.
talk to you guys later. God
All right.
bless. Have a great rest of the day.
You too, brother. Thank you.
All right. See ya.